Shalom and Baruch. Today is Tu-Bishvat, so I wanted to learn with you a bit about this specific day called, in the English, we call it the New Year of Trees. Now, actually, strictly speaking, the title draws a legal distinction that related to the laws of Maschim, when in Israel, you have to take masa from each of your produce, and in any given year, the fruit taken as masa from one tree can represent the owner's other trees of the same species. Sure. So it's a legal thing going on here. So how do we know when the new year starts, when the date turns from one year to the next? So the tradition is that the 15th day of Shvat, and that's because most of the winter rains will have passed in Eretz Israel, and the sap of the new growth is beginning to flow. So the dormant tree is waking up from its winter schluff, from its winter sleep. And the tree that blossoms before Tu-Bishvat is considered last year's produce. And if it blossoms after Tu-Bishvat, it belongs to the new year. Fine. Other than the day's significance, vis-a-vis giving Maisa, there's no source in the Gemara, in the Medrash, about celebrating Tu-Bishvat. Yet, from latter sources, we find many minhagim, customs, regarding celebrating of Tu-Bishvat. The practice of eating special fruits, various fruits, the custom of some dressing up for Shabbos, to have a Suda, a Perez Suda, will cover the new year for the trees. Where does this all come from? Because in the Torah compares the human being to a tree. So now, just let's examine this comparison between man and trees in order to understand the real message of Tu-Bishvat to human beings. The tree grows through cycles in its life. The heavenly laden tree of the summer empties itself of the fruit in the autumn, and then slowly loses its leaves, one by one, and by wintertime the tree stands shorn of its previous glory, and for all purposes it appears to have died. Then comes Tu-Bishvat, in the midst of the cold winter days, when all vegetation seems frozen or dead, the sap of the tree starts to flow beneath the surface of the bark, rising slowly from the roots buried in the hardened soil. The sap pushes itself up, pumping new life, new chachis, into the outstretched branches that reach towards Shemayim, towards heaven. In life, we too often go through cycles of growth. Periods of renewal, of growth, may be sometimes alternate with times of stagnation and dormancy. Shlomo Volvo cites that this cycle is part of man's nature. He adds that a person must not become disillusioned when spiritual growth seems to be stuttering, to halt. The low period will usually be followed by a high period, a schachistic period that will yield new opportunities for his growth. And this is the message of Tu-Bishvat. Even when we feel lethargic, we're in a rut, and seem to have lost the drive to achieve, we should never despair. Just as winter is an annual hiatus in the life cycle of trees. So bouts of lethargy and perhaps unproductivity are necessarily phases of the human cycle. And just as with the coming of spring, life-giving sap moves small, perceptually impossible to find, through the tree to the branches, stretching to the sky, so we too will have renewed energy and deep within us from the spiritual reservoirs that are our whole. So as long as we set our goals heavenward, we will attain, we will grow, we will become inspired. This I speak to you from the world of COVID-19, a gullus. And we've been at home. It was the first lockdown was in the spring, summer. It was difficult, but it was nice weather. You could go out a bit in the garden. Now we're stuck in a cold world. It's snowing, it's raining, the sky never shines. And we're just so tired and weary. And it's another day in the news tells us more numbers of dead. Countries are locked down. We can't get to Eretz Israel. We can't get to America. Wherever we are, the doors are closed. This will pass. We have to keep ourselves focused. That we will be blessed. We will once again be able to grow and to laugh and to dance and to feel the goodness that Hashem has given us. There's another message of the new year of trees. Points to a difference between trees and annual plants, house plants, whatever. Although trees require some regular maintenance, they produce fruit each year without any new planting. Plants and vegetables, on the other hand, must be reseeded each year in order to grow. If a tree is not given proper care, however, it will die. Man, says Rov Shlita, is like a tree. With good maintenance, we need not start over from the very beginning with each goal we set for ourselves. We can build on the past accomplishments to go even further. But as with the tree, we require the proper care to avoid spiritual damage and to grow anew. Tu-Bishvat inspires us to remember our similarity with the tree. We must be careful to protect ourselves in order to strive towards greater achievements without having to constantly start over again and again from scratch. This is the sod for Tu-Bishvat. To grab a hold and realize, and now this year especially, even given all the difficulties and all the challenges, and our children, especially our children, are finding it so difficult, we have to tell them and we have to show them that we have the reserves from previous years and from previous occasions of doing mitzvahs. We can make this happen, and it will happen. And we will see our children and our children's children grow into great, towering trees of Torah and Kedusha, and this should happen, and we should be zocher to the Mashiach b'mahayru b'yomayni. Amen.